shorter of two halves. Port Adelaide raced to a 22-point lead. Carlton came storming back and lead by 11 points. The super goal from Jackson was the first on Carlton's run, and Carlton out to an 11-point lead at the first change. During the break, Rob, the Blues in the shade. Port Adelaide not afraid of the Adelaide sun.
No, well, they're sun-smart Carlton. They've got the white colours on and they've gone for the shade. 36 degrees here at AAMI Stadium. They're pretty smart, the Blues, not so smart, the Port.
Let's go down to Corey and hear a little more about the interchange rules and how they're enforced and practiced.
Yeah, boys, I've got the cards right here. This is what they're handing over. They hand that to the property steward each time they make an interchange. On it, they stick a post-it note explaining who's going on and who's coming off. Now, what happened to Port Adelaide, the 22.5-minute mark, they used card number 16. That means you're all said and done. If you make a change after that, you can't make it, or rather, if you make a change after that, a 17th change, a free kick goes to the opposition. They go straight in front of goal, and they have an extra shot at goal. There's the interchange steward. They're taking the notes. Now, Port Adelaide, change 17. Greg Bentley off with the blood rule. Still can't make a change, so they're playing down with 17 men. Feverishly, they work to strap him up and patch up his head and get him back out on the ground. So if you get to 16, it does not matter. They will not let you have another player on. The only way you can get another player on is if it is a stretcher case or the player comes off as the victim of a reportable offence. So very, very hectic down here on the bench.
Yeah, well, it was fascinating, wasn't it, that the 17th should be a blood rule situation. Mick Malthouse made his feelings clear on that, saying, you know, if a key game is shaped in some way by that, there'll be an outcry. And you can understand why. I mean, it doesn't seem consistent with the philosophy of the thing that the blood rule would actually count as an interchange, because that's forced upon you.
And if you're a victim of a reportable offence, then it's not counted as part of the interchange. So a little difference there, but it just means that coaches, it's essential that they try and keep at least one or two up their sleeve. So in terms of being a restriction of 16, it's really only 14 or 15, because you've really got to keep that fine one up your sleeve just in case something happens like we saw happen with Greg Bentley at quarter time here. Ryan Jackson, the sole 9-pointer in that opening quarter, and earned $1,000, all thanks to NAB, to his junior club Greensborough. So great work from Ryan Jackson, all thanks to NAB.
And Cameron Cloak getting set for the centre bounce. Really fine down. I reckon he was muscle bound when he came to the Blues a couple of years ago. And this will be a good contest for him up against Brogan, one of the more experienced ruckmen in the AFL.
Haven't seen a lot of Matthew Cruiser yet. He played the last 9 minutes of the opening quarter, but doesn't have a stat just yet. Cloak and Brogan, the first contest of the second quarter. Carlton finishing the first full of running. Salopek working a hand pass forward, Logan, and back to Salopek. So Port make the first move in the second term. Thornton out bustling Damon White, but the fist miscued a little. Cracker, clever centering ball, but there was nobody on the end of it. Jared Waite ushers it over.
So Port Adelaide deep into attack. Jared Waite started in defence this afternoon.
Playing on Westhoff in this second quarter.
Brogan works to the front, pushed out of it by Cloak, and earns the free. No. Yes, he does earn the free kick.
Well, I think the umpire felt he was unfairly dealt with in the ruck contest by Cameron Cloak.
Just a little heavy-handed.
Let's see, does he push him out of the way?
No, it's not much in that, Rob, is there really?
Tiggy Touchwood, John Nichols and Polly Farmer, they'd roll their eyes.
So Dean Brogan will kick from 45 metres to try and kick Port Adelaide's first goal since the 7-minute mark. They kicked the first 3 goals of the match. Carlton responded with the next 4, including a 9-pointer from Jackson. So this would be, oh gee, that's a shocking kick. Cracker one out there with Greg, and we'll get a boundary throw in. So at least Port Adelaide keep the ball locked inside their attacking 50. Margin still 11 points. Dean Brogan's done the majority of the ruck work so far in the match for Port Adelaide. Against Cloak this time. Wins it down, gathers it ground level, and dribbles it along the ground through for a goal. If you can believe that, great stuff, Dean Brogan.
Boys on the interchange bench, when they make changes at the quarter-time, half-time and three-quarter time breaks, they count as part of their 16. Carlton is up to 7, only a couple of minutes into this second quarter. Port Adelaide, they've made 3 at the break. 3 changes.
Okay. Cassisi now has disposal number 11 for Port Adelaide. We've got a willing contest here. Port kicking the first goal of the second term. Logan inside to Loney. Taking it wide for Westhoff. Got it down. Did he complete the mark inside?
Oh.
No, he didn't.
That boundary umpire in perfect position. Look at him. It's his chance to say, I saw it get juggled over the line.
Oh, the umpire's over. What's...
Yeah.
So
why is it taken off
it
him?
should be a boundary throw-in, surely.
Oh, yeah.
He touched
surely.
it definitely inside the field of play there. In fact, he marked it inside, so the boundary umpire...
This is a
wrong.
monumental stuff-up if Carlton get the free kick.
You're away to a flying start this year.
Oh.
Scott Jeffrey, experienced umpire. He's trying to establish communication with the boundary umpire. I think there's a failure to communicate here.
He's marked it inside the field of play.
It's a mark.
It is a mark.
I don't know.
Well, you can understand that the boundary umpire might have got it wrong in terms of whether it was a mark or a throw-in, but the idea of a Carlton free kick was a little preposterous. Daniel Pearce finishes the job for Port Adelaide. They're back in front.
So 2 early goals in this second term to Port Adelaide, and they find themselves in front by a point. Perfect bounce. Brogan jumps early, wins it down. Sharked though by Stevens, who's wrestled to the ground by Brogan, who is working very hard this afternoon.
And that's the strength of Mark Williams coaching it. The set plays, the stoppages, Port are much, much better than the opposition, have been for years.
Ellard at the base of the pack for the Blues, wrestled clear by Carazzo, but going nowhere. So umpire throws it up again. Hampson pushed out this time by Brogan and is penalised.
This will be Carlton's first disposal of the quarter.
Houlihan, it's a handball off to Carazzo. Kicks it towards Favola over his head. Ooh, almost gathered, in fact, eventually gathered beautifully by Fisher. Here's Matthews Cruiser's first kick in football, and it's a goal. The #1 draft pick kicks Carlton's 4th goal. What a start Robert was.
Wow.
Matthew Cruiser, he spent 8 or 9 minutes on the ground in the first quarter without a possession.
And they're playing him pretty much as a centre-half forward. And he goes onto his left side as easy as you like and is able to slot it through. And he's happy, his teammates are happy. That picks up everyone's confidence. Fev gives him a tap, and well done to the young fella.
They're calling him Freddie at Carlton since...
Yeah, this is interesting there, Tim. We saw Cameron Cloak getting a message, and that's good.
I got the reason, Tim.
You got the reason?
I got the reason.
Yes, the president...
His name's mispronounced by someone of authority at the Blues.
The president introduced him as Matthew Kruger. Kruger. They reckon at Carlton he might have got him mixed up with a couple of Liberal Party apparatchiks named Kroger. Anyway, Carlton's ball. The Blues are back in front. This is Ellard, who the Blues are pretty keen about. He's not quick, but he gets a lot of football. Hampson.
I like Hampson.
They're keen about him too, and he gets to Fisher, who's marked that just inside the 50.
Well, Hampson's a young fella from Queensland, played a few games in the ruck. He's very light on, but he's a willing worker. I think he'd be a pretty handy player for Carlton. And this fella Fisher, who's got the football, much underrated. With better players around him, he could be a star.
Those long arms like tentacles. Kicks to Favola, and Hampson, whose praises were just sung, has marked it right in front and should stretch Carlton's lead by 6.
Oh, he's going to be a good player, and expect Carlton to have 4 or 5 ruckmen through the course of the season. By the end of it, I think this young bloke will be the pick of them.
Big, skilled, and they say he's very quick. His kicking for goal is a little dubious, but he's done just enough. It's the Blues by 11.
Back on Warren Treadray. He hasn't had a disposal yet, has weight. That doesn't matter, because this is all terrific experience for him to play on one of the best centre-half forwards in the last decade.
Brogan, Thomas, sharked by Jackson. Handball too fierce for Houlihan. Picked up by Pearce. Now Thomas needs support, gets it through Boat. Off to Loney. Port Adelaide a chance. Deep inside attacking 50. Westhoff, brilliantly done. Play on's the call. Saddington, the umpire said he got first hands. Port Adelaide crowd don't like it. Cracker back to Pearce, and he's just offline. Ooh.
Port Adelaide supporters not happy. Did he mark it?
Looked like it, didn't it? Well, maybe Saddington a finger in there, but I've seen worse paid. It was well done by Westhoff. Saddington apparently is in very good nick going into the season. They're enthusiastic about him at Carlton.
Well, he'll need to be, Tim, because if he doesn't play well this year, Jason Saddington, his AFL career is over. Came from Sydney, of course, knocked around with knee injuries. Look at that for a shocking throw-in.
Oh, it was dreadful. Get rid of him. Cassisi, Loney for Port Adelaide. Blazing into space. Carlton leading to the ball. Grigg, Ellard and Houlihan. Eventually to Waite, who does get his first stat. Treadrose only had a couple. And Roden on a big mission there against Hampson, who was able to take the mark. Carazzo, Nick Stevens. Not hugely prominent thus far in his return, but he's out there. That's the main thing. There's a push, and Pfeiffer will take a free kick for Carlton. The Blues by 10 in this seesawing contest. The new look, Ryan Houlihan, uses the ball well most times.
What a kick.
Weighted that perfectly, and Favola is well within his range.
Ryan Houlihan has played more games for Carlton than any other player on their list. Bit surprising. He finished in their top 5 in the best and fairest, did Houlihan. He's a much maligned player, but again, I think he's another with better players around him. We'll see the best of him.
The Fev has one and a couple of behinds. He should kick this. Target practice from 50. Still in play, so the game goes on. Gibbs stopping Brogan, but Brogan gets a free, and now it's advantage, and Loney feeds it off, and Port Adelaide are away with Ryan Williams finding Salopek.
Salopek on centre wing. Along the boundary line, target is Treadray, who kicked the opening goal of the match. Has been very quiet since then. Hasn't had too many opportunities. Pokes it forward looking for Boat, but the boundary line too close. So boundary throw-in. Dennis Armfield off the ground for the Blues. Here's the poster from Favola. Dean Brogan quickest to react for Port Adelaide. He's done a power of work already, and he's given away another free kick. He's not happy. Jackson now clears it. Betts, right half back Eddie Betts, forced to go short to Favola. He's outnumbered, although getting to the back of the pack. Simpson tries to keep it in. Good chase from Logan. Favola overruns it, backed up by Betts. Oh, missed the mark again, did Eddie. Simpson this time can't keep it in, and a boundary throw in at half forward for the Blues.
Corey Wingate.
Yeah, boys, still very warm down here, 29 degrees. The only proviso the AFL made for players today, a couple of extra water buoys per club. Carlton didn't bring any. Thankfully, Bryce Gibbs is a local lad. He called in a couple of his mates, so they're carrying water for the Blues.
Ah, dear. Houlihan, Carazzo clever, off to Scotland. Kicks it. Fisher in a good spot here. Couldn't quite take the mark. Out-bodied Williams. And Carlisle knocks it dangerously to the line. Motlop made it look good. Marlon Motlop, 17 years of age, and looks to be a star of the future.
Carlton by 10 points and attacking. Must have had a cool change. The temperature at 29. Here's Cruiser, who kicked the goal with his first kick, not so lucky with his second. Williams off to Boak, and now Chaplin, star in the finals last year. Not that they had any stars on grand final day. Pearce feeding, and Port work it away smoothly this time, and can turn this into something. Loney, though, fumbling what should have been a comfortable receive, and Waite has it for Carlton, and the Blues are out of trouble. Jackson sweeping it forward. Ellard puts it in front of Murphy. Dangerous situation, but Scotland there to help him out of it. Setting it up from a long way. Fisher has the run at it. Very good spoil though from Williams, who then beat Fisher to the footy. Got to get it out. Surgeon, in the old-fashioned way, did it well.
And we just saw some wonderful defensive play there by Ryan Williams of Port Adelaide. He got the spoil and then the recovery at ground level.
Free kicks 15-4 in favour of the Blues. Dean Brogan's given away a lot of those. The game interestingly poised. At the back Hampson tried to get it to Murphy. Swooping on the loose ball though. Pearson beautifully delivers to White, who marks 45 from goal. Just got in behind Jared Waite. Now loose player in the pocket, and he's found him. And it's Salopek.
And Salopek came off the interchange there, and there was no Carlton player to pick him up. But it was Daniel Pearce who made that break from half-back. Daniel Pearce is a star, and one to watch over the next 10 years, a star of this Port Adelaide midfield.
So hampered by ankle injuries last year, just the 16 games from 20 metres. Stephen Salopek kicks a goal for Port Adelaide. Margin back to 4 points.
A day on the Oval, celebration of rock.
David Ellard, rookie list player for Carlton, having a well-earned breather as the Blues and the Power slug it out in the heat, and it might be survival of the fittest. Margin back to 4 points Carlton's way. Roden, such a good first season with Port Adelaide last year. Surgeon's hand pass gave it up. Carrazzo tried to get it to Armfield, who fights on bravely. Scotland in to lend a hand, but the numbers prevail. And DeLuca pokes Port Adelaide forward. Treadray a chance here as Thornton stumbled. And Treadray curls it, but not quite enough.
Loves going on his left side, just Warren Treadray. Just missed that one. Kicked the opening goal of the game on the left boot. And there we see a shot of Nick Stevens up at full forward for the Blues.
Carlton get it to half-back. Carrazzo, probing kick towards Hampson, coming up to meet it Fisher. Handball Jackson. He's got Hampson free and also running in support Armfield. Short kick, not the required 20. It was a poor kick in the circumstances, and DeLuca just fends off Cruiser as though he was a piece of string. Now a chance for Salopek. Handball looking towards Carlisle. Carlisle shovels it up. Boat scrambles it through the congestion into the path of Motlop, coming up to meet it Gibbs. Motlop and Gibbs. And Gibbs now, what's the umpire going to do here? He says it's deliberate.
Jeez, that's a hard call. Where Port Adelaide's getting on top of the clearances in this game, it's 11-3, and you'd expect that because they've got the better ruckman.
Motlop, great kick. Koshel couldn't quite hold on. Roden trying to rove the pack. Koshel fights on, along with Cade Simpson. Gee, good battle there, one-on-one, but a bounce or throw-up eventually 45 metres.
And this is where they're dangerous, Port.
Well, make what you will of that. They're always contentious. Jared Waite gains meterage, and you couldn't call that deliberate. That was a... Well, if John Beckwith had kicked that in the old days, they would have said it was beautifully done. He was supposedly the master of the torpedo punt, which always curled away towards the boundary line and floated over. So Carlton by 3 points. Still 7 minutes of the opening half left. And this spirited contest goes on. Armfield looks a comer for the Blues. He doesn't mind getting in among it. Salopek gains a few metres for Port. And Boak's got it, but he's surrounded. Free kick, Port Adelaide's way. Boak to take it. So, bit of catch-up on the free kick scoreboard here. Boak takes it very wide, dangerously so.
Scotland and Waite off for Carlton.
Salopek, short.
And that's caught them out because Jamison, who's come in to take the mark, he was the player who was interchanged for Jared Waite, and he was always 20 metres short of Treadray, and that interchange cost the Blues.
Treadray not quite hitting the target, but there's still a chance. Roden, Boak, they work it around. And the long ball forward, though, is wayward, and Carlton are able to hold up.
Simpson forced to kick short to Houlihan. Now called to play on, wasn't 20 metres, so Houlihan delivers wide. Saddington low down, takes the mark.
Port Adelaide 14 interchanges, Chriso.
Ooh.
And we've got 5.5 minutes to go.
We'll keep an eye on that as Grigg takes it on centre wing, delivers towards Stevens. Thomas did well on the fist in there. Williams, clever little give back to Thomas, sweeps it further afield. Logan now. Port Adelaide pressing. Pettigrew. Oh gee, I don't know about that. Bentley Motlop. In fact, it was Roden. Out comes Hampson and does well to find Cruiser. Matthew Cruiser kicked a goal with his first kick. Carazzo brings it back cleverly to Betts, who marks just inside 50. Off to Stevens. He loves these, Nick Stevens. Kicks to the goal square. Favola in a good spot. And through for a behind.
Did Fev get his boot on that? If he did, it was pretty smart, but I think it was kicked and then smothered.
He didn't quite make contact, I don't think. It's Port Adelaide bringing out of defence.
We'll try and get a look at a replay of it. Gross taking it wide, and Motlop to Brogan.
15 interchanges.
Salopek, Carlton by 4 points in the last 5 minutes, and Port running on well here. This is Lower, twin brother of Ed, who plays for the Kangaroos, of course. Apparently they say they feel symptoms of each other's injuries, which is just a little spooky.
A little spooky.
Jamison for Carlton. Now this is Jordan Russell. Needs a good year this year to develop his career. And the ball's going back by the look of it, or is it relayed to Fisher?
Against Lower for putting Russell down after he kicked it.
Murphy was running for Fisher. That was Favola having the swing at the ball out of the air. And Carlton might have a better chance to kick a goal now, although Murphy played on, put himself under pressure. I think the mark had been paid.
It had. He's just off the boil a little bit, Mark Murphy, at the moment, but let's not forget we're a long way from round one.
Logan, a couple of loose players. They both thought the other was going to take it, but they've got plenty of time. Cassisi from centre wing delivers towards White, who scoops it up just above the turf. In fact, he's been paid the free kick. 55 from goal, chips it to Treadray, who cleverly got a yard on Saddington. Now, what's the umpire going to do here? Port Adelaide fans screaming for 50 metres. It's not going to happen, and Treadray will kick from 45, as good as directly in front, to try and put Port Adelaide back in front.
Well, Warren Treadray does look to be in terrific form and fitness, and he's been a wonderful player for Port Adelaide.
Gee, Mark Williams' comments were interesting pre-match, weren't they? Saying that he really has been the most significant part of their pre-season, his improvement.
Yeah. Well, he was a best and fairest winner 2004 and 5. That made 3 for him.
Beautiful kick from Treadray. Port Adelaide back in front.
Looking for a team that played in a grand final, a young developing team, and they could do great things.
I'll tell you what you'll never see Warren Treadray do again. Bow after he kicks a goal.
Not after you gave it to him.
Port Adelaide back in front. Cassisi dancing around like young Griffo. Thomas buried. And there'll be a ball up. Young Griffo, for those of you born after about 1920, was a very good Australian boxer. Late in the 19th century, I think. They reckon he used to walk into a pub, throw a hanky down on the floor, stand on it, and challenge people to hit him, and no one could lay a glove on him. Here go the Blues. Gibbs, late in the term. Murphy inside 50, looks for Favola. Favola finessed it well and then fumbled at the crucial moment. Now takes the long path. Jackson, who kicked a super goal early to get Carlton going. Edwards from behind might have infringed. I reckon he did. Doesn't matter. Motlop comes away. Gives to Logan, and Port starting to play with nice poise, having regained the lead. Logan just threading it short. Thomas, an old Melburnian who suffered appendicitis early last year, then an infection, had to have part of his bowel removed and was terribly sick, frighteningly so at one stage, but has done a good pre-season this year, and they're expecting good things from him.
Stephen Salopek getting up slowly. So minute and a half left in the opening half. Port by a point. Brogan's done a power of work. Roden swooping on the loose ball with great acceleration. Kicks it long, and White in a good spot here. Couldn't quite hold on. First to recover. Got support from Koshel, but the Blues do it very well. Jamison and Saddington combine well and see it over for a boundary throw-in. Good tackle from Jamison.
Interchanges 16 all. Minute and a half to go.
Cloak in front, Brogan gets it down, chance for Roden again. Geez, looking dangerous at the moment. Where will he go? Tries to chip it short, not 20, and a chance for Salopek, who kicks it goal.
Port Adelaide have kicked to a 7-point lead. Big quarter, 5-goal to 2 second term. Houlihan receives from Cloak and Carlton to try and do something before half-time. Bauer, cool sidestep, kick not so hot. Brogan dropping the mark he should have taken. But Port have it under control. Pettigrew's hand pass, well, pushed in the back surely from Fair, but was. And it'll be a Port Adelaide free kick. Can't ride the man forward. And the man in question was Thomas. So in the last 40 seconds, Port have the footy and they have a 7-point lead.
Thomas wide, looking for Gross. Late replacement in for Robbie Gray. Handballs back towards Logan. And Logan at half-back. Koshel neatly tackled. Dubious looking handball. It was a throw.
Good tackle by Cameron Cloak.
And Carlton, as time ticks away, 10 seconds. Houlihan, I'll need a mark from this ball. Favola in the pack, or pushed out Brogan, I thought. No free kick. Chance for Pfeiffer. But the Blues out of time, and despite the fact they led by 11 points at quarter time, go into the long break trailing Port Adelaide by 7 points.
Well, it's an entertaining first half that we've just witnessed, and I think coaches of both teams would be pretty pleased with their charges. Trying conditions out there, they're using the interchange well, they're sharing the workload. Skill level a bit scratchy for both teams, couldn't fault the endeavour, and I think a few players like that man in picture, we probably won't see him play in the second half. I think he's probably done enough.
Joining us at half time, Port Adelaide star Chad Corns. The Power lead the Blues by 7 points.